Hello! Today we're going to review the fundamental rules for operating a commercial driver's license in Oregon. This is everything you need to pass that exam on the first try. Here are the key questions for the Oregon CDL exam. What agency issues CDL licenses in Oregon? Oregon Driver and Motor Vehicle Services (DMV) under the Department of Transportation. This is the official authority for licensing and compliance. Let's continue. What is the minimum age for interstate CDL driving in Oregon? 21 years old. Interstate driving requires full federal eligibility. Next question. What is the minimum age for intrastate CDL driving in Oregon? 18 years old. You may operate only within the state at this age. Let's move on. What combination weight requires a Class A CDL in Oregon? Combination vehicles over 26,000 pounds where the towed unit exceeds 10,000 pounds. This applies to the largest vehicle combinations. Next point. What vehicles require a Class B CDL in Oregon? Single vehicles over 26,000 pounds or towing a unit not exceeding 10,000 pounds. These include straight trucks and buses. Continuing. What vehicles require a Class C CDL in Oregon? Vehicles under 26,001 pounds carrying hazmat or designed for 16 or more passengers including the driver. Special cargo or passengers require CDL. Let's keep going. How long is an Oregon Commercial Learner's Permit CLP valid? 180 days, renewable once for another 180 days. You have limited time to complete testing. Next question. What supervision is required when driving with an Oregon CLP? A CDL holder with proper class and endorsements must sit in the front passenger seat. Supervision is required at all times. Let's continue. What vision standard is required for an Oregon CDL? 20/40 in each eye with or without correction and at least 70 degrees peripheral vision. Clear vision is critical for safe driving. Next point. How often must an Oregon CDL holder renew their medical certificate? Every 2 years unless a condition requires more frequent review. Medical certification must stay current. Next question. What blood pressure qualifies for a full 2-year medical certificate? 140/90 or below. Higher readings may limit certification. Let's move on. What happens to an Oregon CDL if the medical certificate expires? The CDL is downgraded until a valid certificate is on file. No valid certificate means no CDL privileges. Continuing. What condition disqualifies a driver from a medical certificate? Epilepsy not controlled by medication and insulin-dependent diabetes in most cases. These conditions pose safety risks. Next question. What is the minimum tread depth on front steering axle tires in Oregon? 4/32 of an inch. Steering tires require maximum traction. Let's keep going. What is the minimum tread depth on all other CMV tires? 2/32 of an inch. All tires must maintain safe grip. Next point. What is the maximum single axle weight on Oregon highways? 20,000 pounds. Axle limits protect infrastructure. Let's continue. What is the maximum tandem axle weight on Oregon highways? 34,000 pounds. Tandem limits are enforced separately. Next question. What is the maximum gross vehicle weight on Oregon interstates without a permit? 80,000 pounds. Anything above requires special permits. Let's move on. What Oregon-specific weight permit applies to certain logging and agricultural vehicles? Oregon issues special permits for off-season weight exemptions on certain rural routes for logging and farm vehicles. These permits apply to specific industries. Continuing. What are the 3 parts of total stopping distance? Perception distance, reaction distance, and braking distance. All 3 determine stopping ability. Next point. At 55 miles per hour, how far does a loaded truck travel before stopping? About 390 feet under ideal conditions. Real conditions increase stopping distance. Let's keep going. What following distance applies under normal conditions? 1 second per 10 feet of vehicle length plus 1 second over 40 miles per hour. This creates a safe buffer. Next question. What following distance adjustment is needed in bad weather? Double the normal following distance. Reduced traction requires more space. Let's continue. What speed reduction is recommended on wet roads? Reduce by 1/3. Wet roads reduce traction quickly. Next point. What speed reduction applies on packed snow? Reduce by 1/2. Snow significantly limits control. Let's move on. What technique prevents brake fade on Oregon mountain downgrades? Select a low gear before the descent and use firm controlled brake applications. Proper technique prevents overheating. Continuing. What gear should be selected before a steep downgrade? Same gear used to climb the same grade. This maintains control downhill. Next question. What is the normal air pressure range in a CMV brake system? 100 to 125 psi. Monitor your gauges constantly. Let's continue. At what pressure does the low air warning activate? 60 psi. This is a critical warning level. Next point. What should a driver do when the low air warning activates? Exit safely and stop the vehicle immediately. Do not continue driving. Let's keep going. What are spring brakes in a CMV? Emergency and parking brakes held by air that apply automatically when pressure drops below roughly 20 to 45 psi. They act as a fail-safe system. Next question. What is the air loss rate limit with brakes released? No more than 3 psi per minute. Excess loss indicates a problem. Let's move on. What brake check is required during the pre-trip inspection? Build air to governor cutoff test warning at 60 psi. Verify parking brake and inspect brake components. A full brake system check is required. Continuing. What are the steps of the CDL pre-trip inspection? Overview engine compartment, cab interior lights, front walk around and signal check. Follow the same order every time. Next point. What is checked under the hood during a CMV pre-trip? Oil, power steering fluid, coolant belts, hoses, wiring and air compressor. These ensure safe operation. Let's continue. What is off-tracking? Rear wheels following a shorter arc than front wheels in a turn. This affects turning clearance. Next question. What is jackknifing and what causes it? Trailer folding against the tractor from locked trailer wheels during hard braking. Prevention is critical. Let's move on. What is the tug test when coupling? Engaging low gear and gently pulling against the locked kingpin to confirm fifth wheel engagement. Always confirm the connection. Continuing. What is the correct uncoupling order? Lower landing gear, apply trailer brakes, disconnect airlines and electrical chock wheels, then extract the tractor. Follow the sequence exactly. Next point. What are the glad hands on a combination vehicle? Connectors joining service and emergency airlines between tractor and trailer. They control braking systems. Let's keep going. What happens if the emergency airline disconnects while moving? Trailer brakes apply automatically. This is a built-in safety feature. Next question. What is the trailer hand valve used for? Testing trailer brakes only, never while driving, as it can cause jackknifing. Do not use while moving. Let's continue. What cargo securement rule applies to Oregon flatbeds? Cargo must be immobilized with enough tie-downs based on weight and length within each tie-down rated capacity. Improper securement is dangerous. Next point. What CDL offense causes a 1-year disqualification in Oregon? DUI in a CMV, leaving the scene of a CMV accident using a CMV in a felony, or driving with a revoked CDL. Serious violations carry major penalties. Let's move on. What results in lifetime CDL disqualification in Oregon? Using a CMV to commit a felony involving controlled substances or a second major disqualifying offense. Some violations permanently end your CDL. Continuing. What is a serious traffic violation for CDL purposes? Excessive speeding, reckless driving, improper lane change, following too closely and texting in a CMV. These violations add up quickly. Next question. How many serious violations in 3 years trigger a 60-day disqualification? 2 within 3 years. Repeat violations lead to suspension. Let's continue. What is Oregon law on handheld cell phone use in a CMV? Prohibited at all times while driving a CMV and counts as a serious traffic violation. No distractions allowed. Next point. What CDL endorsements are available in Oregon? H Hazmat, N Tank, P Passenger, S School Bus, T Double Triple Trailers and X Combined Hazmat and Tank. Endorsements expand your privileges. Final question. What removes the air brake restriction from an Oregon CDL? Passing the air brakes knowledge test and completing the skills test in an air brake equipped vehicle. This removes a major limitation. That's all for today. Study these